Take it. Yes.
Long ago, in a busy town filled with shouting traders and the sweet smell of roasted corn in the evening air, there lived a young woman named Anita. She was beautiful, clever, and sharp tongued, with a smile that could make people trust her instantly. People liked Anita. She dressed nicely, spoke confidently, and always seemed to know how to get what she wanted. But beneath her charming smile lived a quiet weakness, a restless desire for things that were not hers. One hot afternoon, Anita walked into a small but popular supermarket owned by Madame Nene, a hardworking widow known for her honesty. The shop sparkled with neatly arranged goods, jewelry, groceries, fabrics, and small treasures customers love to order specially. Anita wasn't there to buy much. She only wanted to look. As she wandered through the supermarket, her eyes landed on something that made her pause. A gold necklace resting inside a glass display case. It shone under the light like captured sunlight, delicate and beautiful. She glanced around. The cashier was busy counting change. Madame Nene was arguing politely with a supplier near the entrance. No one watched her. A thought slipped quietly into Anita's mind. No one will know. Her heart raced. She told herself it was just curiosity, just a test. In a smooth, quiet movement, she opened the display slightly and slipped the necklace into her bag. Her fingers trembled, her breath became shallow. Still, no one noticed. She walked out calmly, holding her head high, her footsteps steady, even though her heart pounded like a drum. Outside, she laughed nervously to herself. I am lucky, she whispered. And just like that, the necklace disappeared. An hour later, the storm began. Madame Nene discovered the loss while checking her inventory. She searched the display once, twice, three times. The necklace was gone. Her face turned pale. That necklace, she whispered, it was a customer's order. It wasn't just jewelry, it was expensive, paid for in advance, and made for a wedding ceremony happening soon. Replacing it would cost more money than she had. Her hand shook. She called her workers. Everyone searched. Nothing. Finally, Madame Nene sank into her knees on the supermarket floor, tears streaming down her face. Customers stopped and stared, unsure of what to do. My God, she cried bitterly. What did I do to deserve this? The shop fell silent. Then, through her tears, anger rose. She lifted her hands towards the sky and spoke words that made even the boldest customer step back. Whoever stole from my shop, she said, voice trembling yet firm. Your child will continue to steal. Even if she doesn't want it, she will steal all her life and ask herself why. People gasped. Madame Nene continued, her voice heavy with pain. I will not go after you, but your child will carry the burden so you will feel the pain. Return it or the stealing will never stop. Her words hung in the air like thick smoke. Some people murmured prayers, others hurried out, eager to avoid being near such a serious declaration. Madame Nene wiped her face, slowly, unaware that the true thief was already far away, unaware of the storm she had unleashed. Meanwhile, Anita returned home feeling triumphant. She admired the necklace in front of her mirror. It is beautiful, she said softly, placing it against her neck. She never thought about Madame Nene's tears. She never heard about the cause, and even if she had, she might have laughed it off. Life moved on. Years later, like rivers flowing quietly forward, Anita grew older, and by what many called good fortune, married a very wealthy man. He owned businesses, drove expensive cars, and treated Anita like a queen. She moved into a big house with tall gates and shiny floors, the kind of house she once only dreamed of. People admired her. She's lucky, neighbors whispered. Anita believed it too. Soon, she gave birth to a baby girl, so beautiful that people stopped just to stare. The child had soft cheeks, calm eyes, and a smile that melted hearts. They named her Rebecca. Anita loved her deeply. She promised herself her daughter would never know hardship, never lack anything. Toys filled every corner of the house. Dresses arrived from abroad. Shelves overflowed with snacks and gifts. Rebecca grew, surrounded by abundance. Yet sometimes, faith waits patiently. It waits quietly in corners, in forgotten moments, in words spoken long ago by someone crying on a supermarket floor. And though no one knew it yet, something had already begun to move, slow, invisible, and stubborn as shadow. The necklace was long gone, but the words tied to it had not faded. One evening, as Anita watched her daughter sleep peacefully, she smiled and whispered, "You will have the best life." Outside, the wind rustled softly through the trees, as if carrying an old warning no one could hear. Because the story of Rebecca and the strange habits that would follow her had only just begun. Rebecca grew like a flower watered with love and comfort. Her parents adored her. Her father bought her everything she pointed at: dolls that talked, dresses switched with tiny, shiny beads, books with colorful covers, and snacks stacked higher than her height. Anita made sure that her daughter never felt the emptiness she had once feared in her own life. People often said, "This child is blessed. She will never know suffering." And truly, Rebecca wanted for nothing. She was gentle, polite, and quiet, the kind of child teachers praised and neighbors admired. That was why the first signs seemed so small and easy to ignore. It started when Rebecca entered primary school. One afternoon, Anita noticed a shiny pencil case in her daughter's bag that she didn't recognize. "Where did you get this?" Anita asked casually. Rebecca shrugged. "My friend left it." "Oh," Anita said, not thinking too much about it. A few days later, it was a packet of sweets, then a shiny toy car, then a colorful hair clip that looked suspiciously expensive. "Did someone give this to you?" Anita asked. Rebecca hesitated. "I found it." Anita laughed lightly. Children and their little treasures. She brushed it off aside as harmless behavior. After all, children picked things up all the time. But the items kept appearing. Snacks that weren't from their kitchen, small toys no one bought, random objects: a spoon, keychain, a rubber band shaped like a star. Sometimes even Anita's husband would make a joke about it. "Our daughter likes collecting things," he said with a chuckle. Rebecca would laugh nervously and quickly change the topic. Inside, she felt confused. She didn't know why she did it. She would see something ordinary, a pen, a biscuit, a ribbon, and suddenly her fingers would itch. Her heart would pound. Before she could think, the item would somehow enter into her pocket. Later, she would stare at it and wonder, "Why did I take this?" She never had an answer. As she grew older, the habit grew with her. In secondary school, it became harder to ignore. A friend complained about missing earrings. Another searched for a note that vanished mysteriously. Teachers occasionally mentioned lost items during assembly. No one suspected Rebecca. Why would they? She was from a wealthy family. She wore nice clothes and always had enough money for lunch. But inside her bedroom, drawers began filling with random things. Things she didn't need, didn't want, and sometimes didn't even remember taking. She would promise herself, "This is the last time," yet the next day it happened again. One Saturday, Anita took Rebecca to the market to buy clothes. The market buzzed with life, traders shouting prices, colorful fabrics hanging like ribbons, and music drifting from nearby speakers. Rebecca picked a few dresses and Anita paid for them happily. As they prepared to leave, a sharp voice shouted beside them, "Hey, stop there!" The seller rushed forward, holding a blouse. This one wasn't paid for. People turned to stare. Rebecca froze. The blouse was in her bag. Anita's heart nearly stopped. "There must be a mistake," she said quickly, forcing a smile. But the seller frowned. "She took it." The crowd murmured. Some shook their heads. To avoid embarrassment, Anita immediately paid double the price and apologized repeatedly until the seller calmed down. They left quickly. Inside the car, silence filled the space. "Why did you do that?" Anita finally asked. Rebecca's voice trembled. I don't know." Anita sighed heavily, but convinced herself it was just youthful foolishness. "It won't happen again," she said firmly. Rebecca nodded, though her eyes filled with quiet fear. Years passed, and Rebecca entered the university. She was stunning, graceful, intelligent, and admired by many. Her parents sent her plenty of money, and her room was always well furnished. Yet, the strange odd followed her like a shadow. Her roommates often searched frantically for missing items: shoes, combs, pens, glasses, even simple slippers. "I swear I left it here," the roommate complained. Rebecca helped her look, face calm, heart racing. Hidden inside her personal box were all those missing items, neatly arranged as if they belonged there. Sometimes she would stare at them late at night, horrified at herself. "Why am I doing this?" She tried returning some secretly, but new things kept appearing in her collection. Whenever she went home, she carried some of the stolen items back and hid them deep inside her closet. The closet became a silent museum of things that were not hers. Then something happened that shook her deeply. One afternoon, during a visit home, Rebecca wandered into her mother's room. Without thinking, she slipped a small perfume bottle and a bracelet into her pocket. Hours later, Anita noticed the missing items. "Rebecca," she asked gently, "have you seen my bracelet?" Rebecca felt a familiar wave of pain. "No, Mama, I haven't." The lie came out effortlessly. Anita sighed and let it go, but Rebecca felt sick inside. Weeks later, Anita entered Rebecca's room intending to help tidy up. She opened her daughter's closet and froze. Inside were stacks of items she recognized immediately: her missing bracelet, the perfume bottle, old scarves, and dozens of clothes that clearly belonged to other people. Her hands trembled. When Rebecca returned home that evening, Anita confronted her. "What is this?" she demanded. Rebecca burst into tears. "I don't know why I do it," she cried. "I don't want to. I just take things." Anita stared at her, unable to believe what she was hearing. "You have everything," she said. "Why would you steal?" Rebecca could only shake her head. Instead of understanding, Anita tried another solution: more money. Maybe her daughter needed more comfort, more security. She doubled Rebecca's monthly allowance and told her to focus on school. But money changed nothing. The problem remained. One evening, as Rebecca walked back from lectures, lost in thought, she passed an old woman sitting by the roadside. The old woman's eyes were sharp despite her age, as if they saw beyond ordinary things. Rebecca greeted respectfully. "Good evening, ma." The woman looked at her for a long moment, then she spoke slowly. "My child, something evil walks beside you, and it is a stubborn one." Rebecca stopped, confused. "What do you mean?" The old woman's gaze deepened. "You are carrying a generational curse because of your mother." Rebecca's heart pounded. "What?" The woman leaned closer. "Ask your mother what she did on the 30th of November, 2005. Break this curse soon, because the woman who laid it is very sick. If she dies, the curse may never be broken." The chill ran through Rebecca's body. Without another word, she turned and ran, her footsteps echoing loudly against the road. The old woman watched her go, shaking her head slowly. That night, Rebecca couldn't sleep. The words repeated endlessly in her mind. "A curse because of your mother." She didn't know what frightened her more: the possibility that it was true, or the possibility that it explained everything. Rebecca ran all the way back to her hostel, breathless and shaking. The old woman's words echoed in her mind like a drumbeat. "A generational curse because of your mother." She tried to laugh it off. Maybe the woman was just strange. Maybe she said things like that to everyone. Yet the uneasiness clung to her like damp clothes. That night, she opened her box, the one filled with stolen items, and stared at everything inside. Shoes she never wore, pens she never used, jewelry that meant nothing to her. Her hands trembled. "I don't even want these," she whispered. For the first time, fear replaced confusion. The next morning, Rebecca called her mother. Anita's cheerful voice answered immediately. "My daughter, how are you? Did you eat? Do you need anything?" Mama, Rebecca hesitated. Can I ask you something strange? Anita laughed lightly. When you start like that, I get worried. What is it? Rebecca swallowed hard. Did anything happen on the 30th of November 2005? Silence. The line went quiet for several seconds. Anita's voice returned, softer now. Why would you ask that? I met an old woman yesterday, Rebecca said carefully. She said something is following me. She said it came because of you. Anita forced a laugh. Old people like to scare young girls. Don't listen to such things. But her voice trembled lightly. Anita noticed. Mama, she whispered, please tell me the truth. Nothing happened, Anita said quickly. Focus on your studies. The call ended soon after. Rebecca stared at her phone, unsettled. Her mother was hiding something. Back at home, Anita sat in silence long after the call ended. Her hands shook as she placed the phone down. The date, 30th of November 2005, struck her like a lightning. A memory long buried began clawing its way back. The supermarket, the gold necklace, Madame Nene crying on the floor, and those words. Anita quickly pushed the thoughts away. No, she whispered. That was long ago. She convinced herself it wouldn't be connected. Yet, guilt, which she had ignored for years, began rising like smoke in a closed room. Meanwhile, Rebecca's behavior worsened. She tried everything to stop. She avoided crowded places. She kept her hands inside her pocket. She repeated promises to herself before leaving her room, but the urge came anyways. One afternoon at the university cafeteria, she accidentally slipped a spoon into her bag without realizing it. Later, she discovered it and burst into frustrated tears. Why can't I stop? She cried. Her roommate, unaware of the real reason, simply thought Rebecca was stressed. At home during semester break, Anita watched her daughter closely. She noticed Rebecca flinching around objects, avoiding eye contact, and checking her bag repeatedly. One evening, Anita entered Rebecca's room quietly and found her staring at her own hands. I feel like something controls me, Rebecca said. Like my body moves before my mind. Anita forced a smile. You are overthinking, she said. You just need rest. But inside, fear grew. That night, Anita could not sleep. The memory returned vividly. She remembered walking out of Madame Nene's supermarket with the stolen necklace hidden in her bag, feeling proud and untouchable. She remembered hearing days later about the woman crying, cursing whoever took it. At the time, Anita had laughed. Words can't hurt anyone, she thought. Now, she wasn't so sure. Could those words really follow her family? Could her daughter's strange behavior be connected? She shook her head violently. No, impossible. Still, the doubt remained. Days later, and Rebecca decided to search for answers herself. She returned to the street where she met the old woman, hoping to find her again. At first, the woman was nowhere to be seen. Finally, near sunset, she spotted her sitting under a mango tree, peeling roasted corn slowly. Rebecca approached. Please, she said, voice trembling, tell me what you meant. The old woman looked up, as if she had been expecting her. You cannot run from what follows you, she said calmly. Who cursed me? Rebecca asked. The woman sighed deeply. The curse was not meant for you. It was meant to teach pain to someone else. Rebecca's heart tightened. My mother? The woman nodded slightly. You must ask her to confess what she did. The one who spoke the words is ill. If she leaves this world before forgiveness is sought, the path may close. Rebecca felt dizzy. How do I break it? The old woman only shook her head. Truth opens doors, lies lock them. Before Rebecca could ask more, the woman stood slowly and walked away into the crowd, disappearing like mist. That night, Rebecca returned home, determined to confront her mother face to face. She found Anita in the living room, watching television. Mama, she said firmly, we need to talk. Anita's smile faded. Rebecca sat beside her and took a deep breath. I cannot stop stealing, she said. I don't want to do it, but I do. And someone says it's because of something you did years ago. Anita's eyes widened. For a moment, the clock ticked loudly in silence, and Anita whispered, almost too quietly to hear, "Some mistakes don't stay buried forever." Rebecca leaned closer. "Mama, what did you do?" Anita's lips parted, but no words came out. Her eyes filled with tears she hadn't shed in years. The truth sat between them, heavy and waiting. Outside, thunder rumbled softly in the distance, as if the sky itself held its breath. And somewhere far away, an old woman named Madame Nene lay sick, unaware that the past was finally beginning to move again. The story was no longer just about missing items, it was about consequences, and time was running out. The living room felt colder than usual. Rebecca sat still, watching her mother's face carefully. Anita looked older suddenly, as if the question had pulled years of hidden memories out into the light. "Mama," Rebecca whispered again, "what did you do?" Anita lowered her eyes. For a moment, only the ticking clock spoke. Finally, she sighed, a long, shaky breath. "There are things," she began softly, "that we do when we are young and foolish. Things we think no one will ever know." Rebecca leaned forward. Anita's voice trembled as she continued. "Many years ago, before I married your father, I wasn't the person you think I am now. I wanted things I couldn't afford. I wanted to look important." She paused, swallowing hard. "One day, I stole something." Rebecca's heart pounded. "A necklace," Anita whispered, "from a supermarket." The room spun slightly for Rebecca. "Did anyone catch you?" she said. Anita shook her head. "No, but the owner discovered it was missing. She cried and she cursed whoever took it." Rebecca felt a chill crawl through her arms. "What did you say?" Anita hesitated, as if saying the words aloud would make them real again. She said the thief's child would keep stealing, even when they didn't want to. Silence fell heavy between them. Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. So this is true," she whispered. Anita reached for her daughter's hands, but Rebecca pulled away slowly. "You never told anyone?" Rebecca asked. Anita shook her head again. "I was ashamed. And as life got better, I convinced myself it didn't matter anymore." That night, neither of them slept. Rebecca sat awake, trembling with anger and sadness. All this time, it started before I was even born. She thought about every single object, every moment of confusion, every lie she told to hide her behavior. It felt unfair. Why would she suffer for something she didn't do? Across the hallway, Anita cried quietly into her pillow, haunted by Madame Nene's face, kneeling on the floor, weeping. For the first time in years, guilt felt heavier than fear. The next morning, things worsened. Rebecca went to the kitchen to drink water. On her way back to her room, Anita noticed something in her hand, a small silver spoon from the kitchen. "Rebecca," Anita said gently. Rebecca froze, shocked. She had realized she picked it up. Tears rushed into her eyes. "I didn't mean to," she whispered. "I didn't even notice." Anita's heart broke. Now she couldn't deny it anymore. "We need to find that woman," Rebecca said later, voice firm despite her fear. "Madame Nene," Anita murmured, almost afraid to say the name. "Yes, before it's too late." Anita hesitated. What if Madame Nene refused to forgive her? What if the curse couldn't be lifted? But seeing her daughter suffer made the decision for her. "We will go," she said quickly. They began searching. The town had changed over years. Old shops replaced by new buildings. Old roads widened. Familiar faces gone. Some people remembered Madame Nene. "She used to own a supermarket," one trader said. "She's been sick for some time," another added. Each answer made Anita's heart tighten. Meanwhile, Rebecca struggled more than ever. Even during their search, objects seemed to find their way into her pockets. A bottle cap, a handkerchief, a packet of gum. Each time she discovered them, she felt panic rising. She started keeping her hands clasped tightly together as she walked. "What if we don't find her in time?" she asked one evening. Anita didn't answer because she had the same fear. One afternoon, while resting at a roadside stall, an elderly woman recognized Anita. Ah, she said slowly. You look familiar. Anita forced a smile. The woman leaned closer. Did you know you used to visit Madame Nene's shop years ago? Anita's face went pale. Yes, she whispered. The woman shook her head sadly. Poor Nene. She has been very sick. People say she talks about a missing necklace sometimes. Says it brought bad luck. Rebecca exchanged a glance with her mother. Where can we find her? She asked. The woman pointed towards a quiet neighborhood on the edge of the town. She stays with her sister now. But hurry, she hasn't been strong lately. As they drove away, silence filled the car. Anita's hands gripped the steering wheel tightly. I never thought my past would follow me, she murmured. Rebecca stared out the window. Maybe it didn't follow you, she said softly. Maybe it waited. Those words hung heavier between them. The sun dipped low, painting the sky orange. Anita's voice shook. What if she refused to see me? Rebecca turned to her. Then at least you tried. For the first time, Anita saw not just fear, but someone carrying a burden she had created. She nodded slowly. Tomorrow, they would go inside. Tomorrow, they would face the woman whose pain had echoed across years. All this will happen in part 2. Watch out for part 2. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comment section.